Welcome to Top 5, the channel where we cut through noise, expose hidden realities, and bring you stories that shape nations. And today we dive into a crisis Canada never fully admits, a crisis built on immigration chaos, gang violence, political silence, and a diplomatic relationship with India that raises more questions than answers, because behind Canada's polished global image lies a system cracking under pressure, a system that welcomed international students with promises of opportunity, while quietly tightening the rules that once made Canada a dream destination. And in 2025, the government capped study permits at 437,000, a 10% cut from a previous year, while announcing a plan to reduce temporary residence to 5% of the population by 2026. And at the same time, they tightened post-graduation work permit rules, restricted spousal work permits, and shifted blame onto students for a housing crisis that was actually driven by corporate landlords raising rents by double-digit percentages, even though international students contributed over $22 billion to Canada's economy in 2023, making them one of the country's largest economic engines. Yet they became the easiest group to blame when political pressure rose, and while students struggled with rising tuition, overcrowded housing, and broken promises, another crisis grew silently inside Canada's Punjabi and Sikh communities, a wave of extortion and violence that shook cities like Surrey, Brampton, and Abbotsford, where more than 100 extortion cases were reported in 2025 alone, with business owners receiving WhatsApp threats demanding $25,000 to $200,000, and shootings linked to unpaid extortion becoming frighteningly common, while community leaders accused the government of slow, reactive policing and a lack of resources to protect vulnerable families. And as fear spread, Canada finally acknowledged the scale of the threat by officially designating the Lawrence Bishnoi gang as a terrorist entity in September 2025, citing murder, extortion, transnational intimidation, and threats to Canadian residents, with RCMP investigations linking the gang to violence in both British Columbia and Ontario, and even U.S. Homeland Security flagging the gang for cross-border criminal operations. Yet despite this recognition, many victims felt the government acted too late, allowing criminal networks to grow while communities begged for protection. And this entire situation unfolded during a period of intense diplomatic tension between Canada and India, where accusations, denials, and political theater dominated headlines as Canadian officials publicly suggested links between Indian networks and violence on Canadian soil during 2024 and 2025. While India rejected every allegation as absurd, politically motivated, and lacking evidence, and despite the heated rhetoric, both countries quietly continued trade discussions, diplomatic meetings, G20 and G7 cooperation, and student visa processing, revealing a double standard where public statements and private actions did not match. And in the middle of this geopolitical tug-of-war stood the Sikh diaspora, one of Canada's largest and most influential immigrant communities, who reported targeted attacks, killings, and intimidation throughout 2024 and 2025, with families claiming investigations were slow and incomplete, and community groups accusing the government of downplaying threats to avoid diplomatic fallout, while Canada maintained its official stance that there was no evidence of state-sponsored violence, leaving many Sikh Canadians feeling unprotected, unheard, and caught between two nations whose political interests overshadowed community safety. And as all these crises collided, immigration tightening, gang violence, extortion networks, diplomatic contradictions, and Sikh community fears, Canada's reputation as a safe, stable, welcoming nation faced its most serious test in decades, revealing a country struggling to balance economic needs, political alliances, and the safety of its own residents. And this is the truth behind the headlines, the truth behind the polished image, the truth Canada rarely confronts openly. And this was Top 5, where truth is not a slogan, but a responsibility. And if you believe these stories deserve to be heard, support this channel, share this video, and stay with us as we continue exposing the realities others hide, because truth lives here, only on Top 5.